Messi is the most decisive player in the world. Sounds obvious, right? That's exactly why it's dangerous. Because in modern football, the things that feel the most obvious are usually the ones people understand the least. And if you think a simple ranking can define who really has big game mentality at the elite level, you're probably missing the bigger picture. This isn't about disrespecting a generational talent or questioning a football legacy. It's about something deeper: how football culture trained you to trust numbers without context, and how that's quietly killing your game awareness and tactical intelligence when you watch the game. So here's the real question: are you actually understanding football, or just consuming it the easy way? This ranking comes from the CIES Football Observatory. And the idea is simple: goal contributions. Goals plus assists. That's it. The more you're involved in goals, the more decisive you are in modern football. And yeah, at first glance, it makes total sense. I mean, football is about scoring, right? If you're constantly showing up on the scoreboard, you must have big game mentality. You must be impacting games at an elite level. That's the logic. Clean, direct, easy to buy into. That's why you see names like Messi at the top, and even someone like Arrascaeta showing up high on the list. And honestly, most people won't question it, because within today's football culture, numbers feel like truth, and truth feels like the full picture. I used to fall for this all the time. Look at the numbers and think I understood everything. Goals, assists, stats. It felt like enough. Like I was seeing the game at an elite level. But I wasn't. I was just seeing the surface of modern football. Think about it like this. Scoring 30 goals against beginners doesn't make you the same as someone scoring 10 against professionals. It's like getting a perfect score on an easy test and thinking you know more than someone who struggled through a harder one. That's where the bigger picture starts to slip away. And that's the trap. Numbers without context create this illusion of tactical intelligence, this fake sense of game awareness. You think you get it, but you don't. Because if football evolution taught us anything, it's that performance only means something when you understand where, and against who, it happened. Here's the part nobody wants to deal with. The ranking ignores context. And in modern football, context is everything. Different leagues, different intensities, different levels of pressure. That alone can completely change what being decisive actually means at the elite level. Playing in the MLS is not the same as playing in the Champions League. The tempo, the defensive organization, the margin for error, it's a different world. So when you compare numbers without adjusting for that, you're not measuring tactical intelligence or game awareness, you're just stacking stats. And that's why this gets dangerous. Because the numbers aren't wrong, they're incomplete. And when you ignore the bigger picture, you start building narratives that don't match reality. That's the gap most people miss inside today's football culture. In football, and honestly, in life, numbers without context become illusion. They look precise, they feel objective, but they can lie to you. And in modern football, where football evolution made the game insanely complex, reducing everything to stats is just lazy thinking. That's why top analysts today talk about quality of competition, because performance only makes sense when you understand who it happened against. That's real tactical intelligence. That's real game awareness. It's not just what you did, it's where, when, and against who you did it. So when people blindly trust rankings like this, they're not seeing the elite level. They're seeing a simplified version of it. And once again, they miss the bigger picture. And that's exactly where the next uncomfortable question starts to hit. So, does that mean Messi isn't decisive? Of course he is. That's not even up for debate. His football legacy is built on showing up when it matters, on a level most players can't even touch. That's big game mentality. That's a generational talent operating at the absolute peak of modern football. But here's the uncomfortable part. This ranking alone doesn't prove that. Not at the elite level. Because being decisive isn't just about how much you produce. It's about how and where you produce. That's tactical intelligence, that's game awareness, that's understanding the bigger picture. So the issue isn't Messi being first. It's you accepting it without questioning why. Because in today's football culture, people don't want answers, they want confirmation. And that's where the real distortion begins. Maybe the biggest mistake isn't the ranking. It's how we consume football today. Fast clips, isolated stats, ready-made opinions, everything designed to feel like game awareness, but without any real depth. It looks like understanding, but it's just surface-level noise. We've trained ourselves to look for quick answers in a game that demands patience and tactical intelligence. And in this era of modern football, shaped by constant football evolution, that gap between what you see and what's actually happening only gets bigger. So in the end, it's not just about who's first. It's about whether you're actually seeing the elite level for what it is, or just another simplified version of it inside today's football culture. And once you start questioning that, you don't watch the game the same way anymore. So next time you see a ranking like this, don't just ask who's number one. Stop for a second and ask yourself, what is this actually measuring? Because if you ignore context, you're not seeing modern football, you're just consuming a simplified version of it. Start looking for the bigger picture. Pay attention to tactical intelligence, to game awareness, to the level of competition. That's where the real difference is. That's where you separate numbers from true impact at the elite level. And if you're into this deeper side of football culture, where we actually question things instead of just accepting them, make sure you stick around. Because here, we don't just watch football, we try to actually understand it.